have you ever stared down a massive new goal?
Oh yeah, we all have.
Right. Maybe you've finally decided you are going to learn a new language. Or you want to get in the best shape of your life.
Or trying to master a complex new skill to get that promotion at work.
Exactly. And you just felt this immediate, heavy wave of exhaustion before you even took the first step. You look up at the sheer mountain of work ahead of you.
The hours and hours it's going to take.
And that little voice in the back of your head whispers, let's just start tomorrow.
Tomorrow is always the busiest day of the week.
It really is. If you are nodding along right now, or if you've got a graveyard of abandoned goals in your past, you are in the exact right place. Today, we are analyzing some incredibly insightful audio to help you conquer that exact feeling.
It's such a universal human experience, isn't it? That feeling of sheer overwhelm. Our grounding material today comes from a show called the English Leap Podcast.
Yeah, it's a YouTube video and audio show.
Right. And it features two very engaging presenters, Aaron and Evan. Their entire discussion in this recording revolves around a single, highly elusive concept, which is how to be disciplined.
And while Aaron and Evan are specifically tailoring their advice for English language learners,
which is a fantastic and challenging context on its own.
Completely. But the mission of our deep dive today is to extract their underlying universal blueprint for self-discipline. We are going to take the specific framework they provide for language acquisition and show you how to apply it to literally any major ambition you might have.
We want to uncover how to beat that classic "I'll start tomorrow" syndrome.
Yes, and crucially, how to stop relying on that fleeting, highly unpredictable emotion we call motivation. Okay, let's unpack this, because the very first trap the show identifies is one almost every single one of us falls into.
Oh, absolutely.
We are talking about the trap of massive goals versus the power of tiny habits. Can you walk us through how they frame this?
They perfectly illustrate this trap by bringing up the classic example of New Year's resolutions.
Oh boy, here we go.
We all know the drill. The calendar flew up to January 1st, the slate is clean, and suddenly we demand absolute, uncompromising perfection from ourselves.
Right.
Aaron and Evan point out the exact types of dramatic goals we set, like deciding we're going to work out for a blistering, sweaty hour every single day without fail.
Or committing to eating a perfectly clean diet with zero exceptions. I feel personally attacked by that example, by the way.
I think we all do.
Yeah.
And what always happens, by mid-January, the burnout is real.
It's so real. The show points out that you just become completely overwhelmed. It's frustrating because you set these huge, impressive expectations for yourself.
And when you inevitably miss a day, because life gets in the way, you feel like a total failure.
But the critical insight here is that you didn't fail because you lack moral character or inner strength.
No, not at all. You failed because the expectation itself was fundamentally flawed from the start. You tried to sprint a marathon.
Yeah.
So the solution that Aaron and Evan present is a complete pivot away from massive, sweeping life changes. They introduce this concept of tiny habits.
Tiny habits?
Yeah. They suggest taking that huge, intimidating ambition and shrinking it down to something almost ridiculously small.
But wait, I have to push back on this a little bit.
Sure.
Just playing devil's advocate for a second. If my goal is to get in shape or become fluent in a language, how is shrinking it down to something tiny going to help?
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Because if I follow their advice, I'm swapping an hour at the gym for just 5 minutes of exercise a day. If I'm learning English, they suggest committing to practicing for just 5 minutes, or even just reading or listening to one single new word a day. Is 5 minutes or one word a day really going to move the needle?
It sounds like a drop in the bucket.
It really does.
What's fascinating here is the underlying psychology of why shrinking the goal is actually the secret to massive long-term success.
Okay.
The presenters explicitly reference James Clear's highly influential book, Atomic Habits, to explain this.
Oh, I love that book.
It's brilliant. The core principle is that small habits compound over time, much like interest in a bank account. But the fundamental psychological trick they are leveraging is making the habit so incredibly small that you simply cannot say no to it.
Even on your worst day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even on your absolute worst day.
So it's about removing the mental friction.
Precisely. Think about it. 5 minutes of exercise does not require a massive heroic surge of willpower.
No, it doesn't.
Reading one single new vocabulary word does not require you to clear your schedule or rearrange your entire day. But by executing that tiny action consistently every single day, You are quietly building undeniable momentum.
You are proving to your brain through action that you are the type of person who shows up.
Yes, it's an identity shift.
I really love that idea of making it too small to say no. It removes all the stress and the heavy pressure. I mean, imagine you're staring at your running shoes right now, and the thought of a 5-mile run makes you want to crawl back into bed.
Right.
But if the only requirement is to put the shoes on and walk for 5 minutes, you can do that.
Anyone can do that.
It completely changes how you look at starting something new because you're replacing anxiety with guaranteed daily momentum.
It completely shifts your focus from the daunting, distant finish line to the very manageable, immediate present moment. You just focus on today's tiny step.
And that transition actually leads directly into the second major insight from their breakdown. Here's where it gets really interesting.
Let's hear it.
The second major takeaway from our deep dive today is the crucial difference between setting goals and building systems.
So this is a big one.
It is. The presenters argue quite forcefully that focusing on systems is far more effective than just obsessing over the goal itself. But again, to be the skeptical listener here, how do you even build a system if you don't obsess over a massive goal first? Don't you need that huge, intimidating target to know what actions to take? They use the example of someone saying, I want to lose 30 pounds in 3 months.
Right.
Isn't that a good, clear target?
It is a clear target, yes. But it's a purely outcome-based goal, and that is where the danger lies.
How so?
The show explains that when people set a goal like losing 30 pounds without a supporting daily system, they might start out very strong. They're running on pure, unadulterated enthusiasm.
We've all been there on day one.
But here's the reality check. When those quick, dramatic results don't magically appear within the first week or two.
When day 4 looks exactly like day 1 in the mirror.
Exactly. They get deeply discouraged and they quit. The goal alone is just a wish. It isn't enough to sustain the grueling effort when the reality of the daily grind sets in.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. The goal is the destination, but it doesn't tell you how to drive the car.
Perfect analogy.
So how do Aaron and Evan define a system to fix this problem?
They describe a system very simply as a series of small, repeatable daily actions. For the language learners they are addressing, a system looks like committing to 10 minutes of practice every single morning while the coffee brews.
Or deciding to always listen to an English audio track during your daily subway commute.
Right. Notice that the system never mentions fluency. It never mentions passing a proficiency test. It only describes the daily, repeatable action.
That is such a profound shift.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, goals are essentially just a point on the map. They tell you where you want to go. But systems, as the show beautifully describes them, are the path without bumps and detours.
The path without bumps and detours. I like that.
Think of building a system like laying down train tracks. You spend your energy laying the tracks, practicing for 10 minutes every morning, listening to audio on the train. Over time, those actions become automatic routines.
And the profound benefit here is that when an action becomes an automatic routine, you no longer have to rely on raw motivation to get it done.
You just execute the system. You aren't stressing every single day about whether you are fluent yet or whether you've lost the 30 pounds. You're just focused on completing your 10 minutes for today.
It takes so much emotional weight off your shoulders. You don't have to wake up, stare at the ceiling, and evaluate your motivation levels on a scale of 1 to 10. You just execute the tiny routine you built.
Exactly.
But let me throw a wrench into this.
Go for it.
What if that tiny routine is still something you kind of dread? Executing a system sounds a bit robotic, and humans aren't robots. If I just really hate studying grammar or I hate doing planks, a system isn't going to save me from dreading it.
And that very human reality brings us to the third pillar from their discussion, the art of positive self-bribery.
Self-bribery.
Yes, they make a very clear, refreshing point that discipline does not actually have to be a boring, miserable, monk-like chore. You can, and strategically should, make your habits attractive.
I am all ears for this part. Making hard work attractive sounds like a magic trick. How do they suggest we do that?
It is a highly practical strategy. Aaron and Evan suggest intentionally pairing the difficult habit you want to build with something you already deeply enjoy.
Oh, the specific anecdotes they share to illustrate this are genuinely great.
Yeah, they are.
One presenter talks about how they used to absolutely dread exercising. It was a miserable chore. But they completely changed the experience by throwing on a funny TV show or listening to their absolute favorite music while they were stretching.
Suddenly, the workout wasn't a punishment anymore. It was entertainment time.
For studying, they recommend treating yourself to a specific, delicious snack or jumping into a fun activity immediately after your study session concludes. You are quite literally bribing yourself to do the work.
And this works incredibly well on a neurological level because of something called the habit loop.
Let's break that down because it's vital to understanding why this works.
A habit loop consists of three parts: a cue, a routine, and a reward. Positive reinforcement is a remarkably powerful tool for shaping this loop.
Because the human brain is hardwired to seek out rewards and release dopamine.
Right. When you pair a tedious task, like studying complex grammar or holding a plank, with an immediate guaranteed reward like a favorite snack or an episode of a sitcom, you are effectively hijacking that neurological loop.
So you're tricking your brain into liking the hard thing.
Exactly. You are teaching your nervous system that this hard work directly and immediately leads to pleasure. Eventually, the friction of starting the task decreases drastically because your brain begins to anticipate the reward before you even start the routine. The dopamine hit begins at the cue.
Who knew that true discipline could actually involve eating snacks and watching TV?
I know, it sounds too good to be true.
It really flips the whole concept of self-discipline on its head. We tend to think of disciplined people as these stoic, hardened individuals who never allow themselves an ounce of fun. But Evan and Aaron are telling us that the most disciplined people are actually just the ones who know exactly how to cleverly engineer their own rewards.
They make the hard things enjoyable.
Okay, so I've shrunk my goal into a tiny 5-minute system, and I've bribed myself with a great snack, so I'm actually looking forward to it.
Sounds like a solid plan.
But what if I sit down to do my 5 minutes of language practice, and my desk is covered in junk mail, and my phone is buzzing with group chat notifications? Does the bribe still work then?
That is the perfect segue. Because a great system and a good reward can still be completely derailed by a chaotic environment.
Yeah.
That brings us to their fourth major concept: engineering your physical surroundings and protecting your willpower.
Right, because if your environment is fighting you, it feels like an uphill battle.
The show paints a very vivid picture of how your immediate surroundings can completely dictate your success or failure. They describe an environment that is a literal setup for disaster.
I think we all have a setup for disaster somewhere in our house.
Specifically, they describe a cluttered, messy desk completely surrounded by tempting snacks. If your physical space is fighting against your goals, you are going to lose that fight eventually.
In a chaotic space, distraction doesn't just happen, it becomes the default setting.
It's so true. Let's be honest. If the snacks are sitting right next to your keyboard, you're going to eat them instead of studying.
So Aaron and Evan offer some highly actionable fixes to engineer your space for success.
Practical stuff.
Very practical. If your goal is to work out, keep your workout clothes right by your bed so you practically step into them the second your feet hit the floor in the morning.
Place your packed gym bag right near the front door so it's a physical obstacle you have to walk past.
If you are learning a language, keep your study materials, your books, your flashcards visible and immediately within reach on a clean desk.
And on the flip side, hide the things that sabotage you. Move the snacks to a high shelf in the pantry.
The guiding rule they emphasize is beautifully simple: out of sight, out of mind.
This raises an important question about the fundamental nature of willpower.
What's that?
Why do we need to engineer our physical environment so carefully in the first place? Why can't we just rely on our inner strength to resist the snacks on the desk, or force ourselves to go into the other room to find our gym clothes?
Because we're tired.
Well, the presenters view willpower not as an infinite magical resource, but as a battery or a muscle. And just like a physical muscle, your willpower gets fatigued and weaker the more you use it throughout the day.
That is such a crucial concept to grasp. Every single time you resist a distraction, every time you make a complex decision at work, every time you hold your tongue in a frustrating meeting,
You are flexing and draining that willpower muscle.
by the time evening rolls around, that battery is flashing red.
The host specifically mentioned how, by the end of the day, all your willpower is gone, and you are just trying to resist the massive magnetic urge to binge watch Netflix on the couch instead of doing anything remotely productive.
Because of this daily depletion, energy management becomes just as important as time management.
Yes. The strategic advice here is to tackle your most difficult, important tasks, the ones that require the most discipline, like exercising or focused studying during your peak energy times.
For most people, this is earlier in the morning when the willpower battery is fully charged at 100%.
If you wait until 8 p.m., when your willpower muscle is severely fatigued from a long day, The couch and the TV will win almost every single time. It is a zero-energy choice.
Furthermore, they suggest automating as many daily decisions as possible. By reducing the number of trivial choices you have to make, like what to wear or what to eat for breakfast, you conserve your limited mental energy for the tasks that truly move you towards your big goals.
So you simplify your physical space, you tackle the hard stuff when your battery's fully charged in the morning, and you automate the small things to save mental energy.
It's a brilliant defensive strategy. Now, all right, I've cleared the desk, I've got my tiny habit, I'm doing it in the morning.
You're all set.
But is there a failsafe? What if I still just don't want to do it?
There is a failsafe. And that is the final pillar discussed in the episode. The undeniable power of a social safety net and accountability.
Yeah, this is huge.
Doing this entirely alone in a vacuum is always harder. The presenters emphasize that having someone else to hold you accountable can take your discipline to an entirely new level.
This could take the form of a dedicated workout buddy, a language exchange partner, or a focused study group.
Exactly. When you know someone else is physically or virtually expecting you to show up, it provides this gentle, judgment-free push.
It keeps you on track because you don't want to let them down, though Aaron and Evan do add a very funny, very real caveat to this.
What was that?
They warn that you need to make sure your friends are actually there to cheer you on and not there to distract you with cake.
It's hilarious, but we've all had that friend, right? The accomplice.
Oh, absolutely. The friend who says, "You went to the gym twice this week, you deserve a margarita and nachos."
Yeah, you need an accountability partner, not an accomplice in your procrastination.
It is a humorous point, but a deeply valid one. Your social environment needs to be engineered just as carefully as your physical environment. Surrounding yourself with people who genuinely support your new systems and who won't actively try to derail them makes consistency significantly easier.
Before we wrap up all these core lessons, I do want to give you, the listener, a bit more context about the actual show we've been analyzing today, just to paint the full picture.
Good idea.
The Englishly podcast really goes above and beyond for their specific audience. In this recording, they mention offering a completely free PDF guide to accompany the audio.
Which is so helpful.
This guide included all their key takeaways, comprehension questions, and even grammar exercises to help reinforce what the listeners just absorbed.
Yes, and they also featured a dedicated special segment with a presenter named Charlotte, who took the time to specifically break down the intermediate level vocabulary used throughout Aaron and Evan's conversation.
It is a very comprehensive, thoughtful approach to ensuring their audience not only grasps the abstract concepts of discipline, but also actively improves their tangible language skills while listening.
It's a fantastic resource for their community. Okay, let's bring it all together. So what does this all mean for you and the mountains you are trying to climb?
The big takeaway.
The most liberating takeaway from this deep dive is that true discipline is not some magical innate talent that you are either genetically born with or you aren't.
It's not a personality trait.
Discipline is just a manufactured system. It is built out of tiny 5-minute habits that are entirely too small to fail.
It is sustained by cleverly pairing hard work with attractive immediate rewards.
It is protected by tackling difficult tasks in the morning before your willpower battery completely dies, and it is guaranteed by engineering your physical space and finding the right people to hold you accountable.
It is a mechanical process, not a moral failing. When you stop relying on the unpredictable wave of motivation and start relying on a well-designed, friction-free system, you remove all the heavy emotional turbulence from the pursuit of your goals.
And I want to remind you that these tools can be applied to absolutely anything you're trying to learn or achieve right now. Whether you are trying to learn a new language like the original audience of the show, or you are trying to finally write that novel, get your finances in order, or train for a 5K.
Build the system.
Shrink the habit so small it's laughable, and for goodness sake, hide the snacks.
As we bring this deep dive to a close, I want to leave you with a final provocative thought to ponder long after the audio stops.
Let's hear it.
If willpower is truly just a depleting muscle, and if our physical environments so heavily dictate our daily success, it forces us to reframe our entire history. Think about it. Are our past failures to learn new things or achieve big goals really a lack of personal drive and character? Or were we just operating in a poorly designed daily ecosystem?
That's a powerful shift in perspective. Look at the physical space around you right now. What is one single physical object you could move in your environment tonight to guarantee a tiny, effortless win tomorrow morning?
What a phenomenal question to end on. Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive. We hope you feel a little less overwhelmed, a little more inspired, and a lot more equipped to tackle whatever massive goal is sitting in front of you. Stay curious, keep learning, and we hope you conquer that next big milestone. Take care.